Hello and welcome to Further Inside with Chor Leoni. My name is Erick Light. I am the artistic director of Chor Leoni Men's Choir in Vancouver, British Columbia. And joining me today is Rasmus Krigström from the group Zero8, based in Sweden, one of our brothers in song. Hello, Rasmus.
Hi there, how you doing?
Very well, very well. This show has always been fun for me because it has allowed me to talk to a lot of people that I've sort of been stalking in the background on the internet over the years and listening to their recordings and watching their videos, and that has been really true of Zero 08. But I have this is the first time I've ever had a chance to speak with you, so thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about Zero 08. How was it formed, and what sort of group is it?
Zero 08 was formed in early 2007 by Doug Harrington and a few members surrounding that initial period of the group. I believe I auditioned and passed all stages of the audition as member number one. So I was there.
That's a good stamp to have on yourself. Yes.
Sure, yeah. The group had a strong focus on barbershop and choral pop and of music of the likes in the beginning under his direction. Um, he was open to doing other music, uh, but he also had a kind of a clear vision and an agenda he wanted to drive, sort of. And this made the main focus of the group barbershop contest
Right.
and barbershop contest music, other barbershop, and so on and so on. Um, it was from the very beginning, and it has been always a fantastic journey. Um, the journey of a lifetime, really.
Oh,
Something that is uh, invaluable just to think of and speak of. It's extremely moving and touching, and it continues. That's the best part of it.
right.
It
Even now, when we're all
Yes, it
dealing.
does.
Yeah. Yeah.
About 5 years ago, Doug stepped down as a director because of his increasing uh, work in the UK uh, and and so on. So I was voted in as a director. Um,
What was that You were you literally voted in, or how did that go?
we tend to do that in Swedish choirs. The entire membership of the group gets to vote on either having their director or keeping their director, or which one should be the director. It's not so much that we are wondering about it. It's more of an homage to a democracy, which every group should be. Um, so that's why we have these meetings every year as a democratic, you know, organism, and we have a board, of course, which is not probably um, a lot unlike most groups in America.
Exactly.
Probably the
Yeah.
same. But so we also vote for the director, um, and so I was voted in, and from there on, the focus shifted a little bit towards towards classical music, which is most of the guys' background in Zero 08.
I was
Classical.
wondering about, yeah, that background between barbershoppers and classical. Here in North America, there tends to be a little bit more of a divide there, and I think what's so interesting about your group is that it the roots are coming out of barbershop, but then some of that aesthetic and those skills that are developed in barbershop music are being applied over to a broader range of music.
Right. So yeah. So the roots of the organization Zero8, sure, but the roots of the people singing in it are classical.
Got it.
And therefore it felt so natural to us to sort of go back to singing a more classical, which is, I mean, essentially what we did. And the classical world is a gazillion times larger than the barbershop world.
Right.
Several million, tens of millions of, it's and it's sort of a network. It's not nearly as organized as the BHS or the Swedish Allies, of course, but it's sort of a network, and there's nodes, here and there, and you meet people and things happen. And here we are, going to Japan and Russia and Georgia, and we had Taipei coming up this year. We couldn't go to Taipei in Taiwan.
Were you going to work with the male choir there?
Ringmasters already did that. Zero8 was actually invited to be guest artists in the Taipei International Choral Festival.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, so that's postponed to next year.
That's hope we get back to that soon. I'm curious. For my thinking is that Sweden certainly has. I think it's true to say that there might be a sound associated with Swedish choral music. But I think what's also, as I said before, what's interesting to me about Zero8 is that there is still some of that barbershopping, like that training, and the way I hear you all ring chords and do things in those sorts of ways. How much of that, maybe what we, especially outsiders, look at a Swedish school of sound, or even the training that goes into all of your singers with the barbershop, is there a push and pull between those, or how do you use them to help each other? What is that like for your group?
Yeah, so those two sort of techniques, or whatever you want to call them, those two actually cooperate really well in any style we do, almost. That's why we always can sound like Zero8, but we can still sing different styles. And I think the Swedish language and the singing style in classical choral music, just in general, is very fitting, because it's a straight tone, very resonant type of singing.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about this, listening to back and forth to Swedish groups, American groups, Swedish groups, and trying to figure out exactly. But I think the secret lies a lot within the spoken language and how we set our vowels and where we put our consonants, stuff like that.
I would very much agree. Having sung in Swedish a number of times, you realize how much more space is there, and brought together with a little bit more of the ring and the forward placement. You get that wonderful richness, but also that clarity. And sometimes richness can sometimes mean not clarity, and clarity can sometimes lack the richness. And I think that's what's been always so appealing about many of the Swedish choirs, but certainly the sound of Zero8. The one thing that we share, of course, is we're doing TTBB music, and we have those high tenor parts. What is the vocal approach for those guys? How much of that is falsetto being utilized, and how much are they staying in their, more or less their modal or their changed voice as they're going up there? And how do you negotiate that? Because I think it's a really beautiful sound to try to emulate, and it's something I've been wondering about the work that you do.
Right. So it's a little bit from piece to piece how the general approach from those singers will be, and also who I want those singers to be. So every piece has its own stamfördelning, has its own set of singers in each part.
The part assignments, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
I haven't spoken English in so long that
You're
I'm
doing better
starting
than my Swedish. Yeah.
to. So the part assignments will vary for each piece. Each piece has an individual part assignment. Um, Even barbershop contests will sometimes I'll talk to some individuals and be like, hey, you're really good at this and this, and maybe you can, But barbershop, um, the barbershop setting is where we sort of that's our base camp sort of point,
Sure.
base camp point of view. Um, and we're when we sing classical music, I'll know which singers to put where, usually depending on if it's a piece that require a lot of chest voice tenors, or if it's a piece that requires more of a counter. Um, so it'll look different
Hmm.
depending on what we do.
And certainly
Uh,
that will have to do with range, but I'm guessing that's also what the color is that you're looking for,
yep.
and some of the
Style,
dynamics as well. Yes.
so style and range,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I had a singing teacher once that said that the mix. I'm not sure if this is true. There's so much talk about vocals and so little facts. It seems. I don't know.
Agreed.
Uh, but he said that the mix is the mix. It doesn't matter if it's a head mix or a chest mix. It's the same muscles. It just feels different. So I thought that was very interesting. But that's not how I feel it. But I'm starting to realize that my head mix and maybe other people's head mix have sort of the same range and same sound as their chest mix. But I
Right.
don't know.
Right. And what part do you sing?
I guess I prefer bass, but not very bassy. Let's drink beer.
That sounds
Before the day
that
before.
sounds like yeah, that sounds like my situation as well. Um who's joining your choir? How I think worldwide many people ask me, oh, how do you get men to sing, how do you get young guys to sing, etc., etc. What is your recruitment process like? What is going on to excite people to come into your choir? And I'm assuming that the folks that are in the choir have changed a bit over the years. You've had new members, etc. Since you were number one. Um, what is that like, and what's that recruitment process, and who are you finding coming to come sing for you?
Right. So the turnaround is about 3 08s by now, but three very large 50 people 08s
Hmm.
ish. It's about 100 and something in total that has applied ever, and we're just over 40 right now.
Okay.
The natural flow of guys is coming from the choir schools. So Stockholm is sort of a choir mecca in the world, and this is largely because of the choir schools. And when I say choir schools, I mean choir schools.
Right.
That's a thing.
Yes.
Every individual like class of 30 people or so, every group is a choir, and they rehearse almost every day of the week in school. They have extra music in the curriculum. It's not extracurricular. This is in the curriculum.
Right.
Um, and around Stockholm, you have, I don't know, 10 of these schools at least. So there's thousands and thousands of kids that are so used to singing in choir, and there are so many good amateur groups that pick these when they finish school, or even before that, they pick these students up. And these amateur groups have such a good quality, a good social environment, such an exciting schedule ahead of them, and everything is so like wonderful about this that people just sort of naturally want to go there. At one point, I think I was in 4 of these groups. So I had like one every day of the week almost. It was hard
Christmas
to
time must be
negotiate.
Christmas must be interesting with all the concerts
It
on
was,
the same
it was hard
days, right?
to negotiate all the concert dates, and I'm gonna have to. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna have to. But so 08 also gets a natural flow of people that have heard about us or heard us in person, because of contacts or because of the reputation. Sometimes we go back to the schools and we just have a little lunch concert or something, and we talk about ourselves and encourage people to sing. We don't say like, hey, come join our group. But that's what we're trying to say. So if the natural flow sort of stops, I'd say we would have to do something, but it's because of all these schools that there's a very, very natural flow of people. Also, it seems like the group has gained enough momentum where there'll always be a number of people applying every semester, every term. So we're lucky, I guess.
You are very lucky. That level of training that's you can see from the cradle on up is, I just think, very evident in the both the singing quality and as well as the musicianship that's happening there. I want to ask you one more question, because it's very, sort of near and dear to my heart, being the director of a male choir. What is, and you and I am sure both have been in lots and lots of different kinds of choirs. What is particularly special or about being in a male choir? And are there any sort of challenges in this day and age of being leading a group of men and trying to make that work with I think some of our newfound sensitivities that we're having in the world?
Yeah, I guess there's always going to be the gender equality. Like we're all men here, and I guess that's always going to be one part of it. That it's I don't know. It becomes a little more what do you say, homogenic?
Sure.
Like it's more streamlined as far as personalities, decisions, needs, demands, will be a little bit more. It's a little bit more easygoing, I think, than working with an all women's group, for example.
Sure.
But there's also this classic kind of which I don't know if it's Swedish or if it's
how do you deal? I mean, what is that, and how do you deal with, like, is that something that's good for the group, or is it something that can be bad for the group, or is it both?
As long as it's very like jokingly and very, I feel like it's more like we're making fun of an olden days male culture.
Yeah,
I feel like it's more like that. It's to me, 08 is a group that has an extremely friendly approach, and there's not even like locker room talk, if you know what I mean. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Like I've always thought that of 08 and experienced that with 08, that it's an extremely friendly, it's a modern male choir,
right?
In that there's no
right.
like no traces of the old male culture, whatever that is. I haven't experienced that a lot myself.
That echoes. Yeah, that echoes my experience as well, and I think it's also singing has a way of disarming much of that there is that vulnerability and that cooperation and teamwork that is maybe a little bit different than being on the football pitch.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for speaking with us today. It's just wonderful to get to know a little bit more about you and about one of our fellow choirs from from Sweden. Thank you so much, Rasmus.
Thank you for having me.